yellow tape shit.
It's your boy, back again, Towel Man Purple with Yellow Tape DFS, here to give you my take on Week 4 of the NFL. First thing we're going to do is dive right in, going straight over to the Vegas odds. We're going to look at total implied point totals for these games. We're at the Giants and the Saints at 41.5, showing the Saints up by almost 10. All right, then you have the Chiefs and the Eagles at 54, showing the Chiefs up by 7. Then you have the Bills and the Texans, showing the Bills up by 17. That's tough. Then you have the Panthers and the Cowboys at 51.5, showing a 3.5-point favorite to the Cowboys. You got the Browns and the Vikings with a 1-point difference in favor of the Browns. You have the Colts and the Dolphins at 42 with a 1.5-point favorite to the Dolphins. 44.5 for the Titans and the Jets. There's a lot going on in that game. All right, a lot going on. Both Julio and A.J. Brown are missing. There's just a lot to talk about in that game. You have the Lions and the Bears at 41.5, showing the Bears up by 3 points. The football team and the Falcons at 47. Washington football team up by 1.5. All right, 54 total points for the Cardinals and the Rams. Rams up by 4.5 on this one. The Seahawks and the Niners at 51.5, showing the Niners up by 2.5. You have the Steelers and the Packers at 45.5, showing the Packers up by 6. And then the Ravens and the Broncos at 44, showing the Ravens up by 1. All right, let's take a look at the weather really quick. We want to make sure that everything's going to be fine. We do have what it appears to be rain for the Bills and the Texans game. All right, maybe 8-mile-an-hour winds, not too bad, but with rain, depending on how heavy it is, it would obviously lean more towards a run game, okay? Detroit and Chicago, it's a possible light rain. 6-mile-an-hour winds, that's nothing. Possible light rain doesn't really do too much other than maybe affect footwork on the field, right? Outside of that, the going further down, Packers and Steelers for the main slate, also potentially light rain. Just something to keep an eye out for. Monitor that. It could affect higher usage for your running backs and your tight ends, or if you have if there are any quarterbacks in those games that do have a rushing upside. All right. So moving along, we're going to go over the player lists. These are the people that I have in my pool this particular week. Josh Allen, he's definitely notable. Definitely going to be somebody to have consideration with. Mahomes as well. We can't skip by him. He's at a 2-loss in a row recently, so he's going to come out firing. Kyler Murray, he's always a good play. He's got a floor because he can run the ball. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. If I'm paying up this week myself, for anyone in these top 4, if I had to take a deep consideration for this game, for any of these games, it may be Patrick Mahomes, even though he's the highest price there. But going further down to the mid-range, you have your Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, and even Dak Prescott. All 5 of these guys, I also like all 5 of these guys, but if I had to pick one to make an easy stack, in my opinion, right? So the best stacks, these guys have better stacks for me in the mid-range overall. Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, and Dak Prescott makes it easier for stacking games. And that's always one of the best ways to get contrarian when you're building your lineups for GPP style. Okay, then further down, Sam Darnold, I think, is a fine play as well, because you want to get different. Same thing with Heineke. Further down as well, another way to get different, I like Jacoby Brissett, okay, and Zach Wilson. And I know that sounds very disgusting, being that this guy is an interception-throwing monster. But we have a Tennessee Titans defense that is atrocious. We know that their offense is going to be based on the run game and some random dirtle receivers like Chester Rogers and some other names that we really don't know very well. or that don't have any production, right? So this may be a great spot for Zach Wilson. And, you can pair him up with, obviously, we'll get to that in the wide receivers chart, right? But I do like Jacoby Brissett. Whether you're pairing him up with a receiver, I do like all the Miami receivers this week. It's really hard to decipher which one or two that you want to throw in there. So I'm also okay with running Brissett naked, by himself. All right. Now, moving along to the running backs. Derrick Henry. I mean, there's not much to say more. You're going against the Jets. You're the number one guy in the offense with your number 2 and 3 guys not playing, right? So you inherently get a larger workload just off of that alone. Now, if there is consideration for somebody that's a little down on the charts there, McNichols also runs on a receiver routes. All right. He's also the backup running back. So if this game gets out of hand quick, this guy can get some more work. And at 4,800, I don't mind him. All right. I just want to throw that out there since we were discussing Derrick Henry. Now, Alvin Kamara, also a great spot against the Giants. I will definitely have exposure to him. Let's see further down. Najee Harris, way too much workload for this guy to not be in consideration week in and week out, especially with Roethlisberger playing as bad as he's been, not being able to throw the ball too far. He's just not looking good. He's banged up. This guy is his bailout. All right. Other mentions for me, Jonathan Taylor. Now, I know he was questionable and limited at practice. He's questionable for Sunday with a knee injury. If he does or doesn't play, regardless, I do like Nyheim Hines. All right. This guy, he's a catching back. He was getting some attempts. The points that he's scoring, 18.9, 14.2. This game, he didn't have very much. They were playing a tough game, so they were trying to use Taylor more in this game against the Rams. But I do see this guy as being somebody to really keep an eye out for. So make sure you keep that in mind. Moving further down past Taylor, Deandre Swift, this guy's another target share monster as a catching back. So just the PPR value for this guy is insane no matter what you're doing. Montgomery, the same thing. We know Aaron Jones had 4 touchdowns against Detroit, something obscure like that. And Detroit's run defense is terrible, and Montgomery is also a catching back. Not knowing who their QB is going to be would always make Montgomery the safest play on that team if you did want to have any exposure in that game. With that being said, at 5,800, I think this is a smash spot. So he would definitely be in play for me. Melvin Gordon also had a questionable tag, ribs and lower leg issues, which also allows me to like Javonte Williams. Now, listening to Shannon Sharp, this guy thinks, Shannon Sharp, a Bronco himself, thinks that this guy's going to overtake Melvin Gordon regardless. And if he's not playing, this guy's going to have an uptick in time and snaps, ball, just everything possible. So this guy is also in play for me at 5,000. I don't mind looking there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 5,400 is still way too cheap. Yes, he fumbled a couple of times, guys. Get over it. This game is going to be crazy. And it could be a nice game where it's both ways, but it could be one-sided for the Chiefs. I did read a report earlier where there are 3 O-linemen out for Philly, which we can get to some of that stuff later. Like, that could be consideration for defensive picks. I don't go over defensive picks, but that's something that you want to take into consideration, right? Beyond that, if we go further down, Trey Sermon is also in line for me at 5,000. I don't mind running this guy. Outside of that, there's not much consideration for anyone else. We already went through McNichols. So that's about it for me when it comes to looking at running backs. Going over to receiver, I mean, Tyreek Hill, he's definitely overdue for a touchdown. He's in play, but not really on my radar, my list per se. I do have Adams, Kupp, Diggs on my radar. Tyler Lockett, if he is able to play and not injured, because after he took that hit to the hip last game, he literally did nothing, wasn't targeted. He was just a decoy on the field. And for fantasy owners, that hurt, right? And then for people that did play him in DFS, that hurt, especially for the price point. Ridley, definitely in play for me as well. Same thing with McLaurin and Thielen and Lamb. All of these guys are in play. They're all in great spots. DJ Moore is being talked about by a lot of the content providers, okay? And I understand why. He gets a bulk load of the target share. But the best matchup coverage for this game is actually going to be Robbie Anderson. Now, if anybody's overdue for a game, it's definitely this guy, okay? He hasn't done much. We know he's a great receiver. And he's just well overdue and in a great spot. So I'm going to have exposure to Anderson to be contrarian from everybody playing DJ Moore. Deebo Samuel alongside with Brandon Ayuk is at 5,000. I like both of them. They're both in good spots. Brandon Cooks may not be the best spot, but he is their number one. He is the one that the quarterback goes to. Even Darius, the backup quarterback, is getting this guy. All right? He has proven performance each game this year. I'm just saying that's probably the only guy that I would want from Houston in this game. Deontay Johnson coming back from injury. He's just a huge target share monster. He's been a target share monster for the last 3 seasons. And I'm just going to say he's one of the top guys that gets targeted and is overlooked. 6,200, great price point. If he's fully healthy and ready to go, I don't mind plugging him in as a run back if you're playing Adams and Rodgers, or, if you're game stacking or you want to have a run back in the game, I'm good with that as well. Amari Cooper is also in a great spot, just like Lamb. I don't mind running him. Odell Beckham Jr. also in a great spot. Jarvis Landry's not there, so more target shares to him. Devonta Smith, yes, also in a great spot. I wish he had a higher target share volume, but it's also kind of hard to do that when Philly's kind of struggling as it is. Juju Smith-Schuster is also in a great spot. Same thing. Sutton is not in the greatest spot. He's not in a bad spot either, but he is definitely the target share monster there. So, those guys are in play. Michael Pittman Jr., this guy is literally due for a touchdown, okay? Just straight overdue for a touchdown. He is their target share leader there, especially since T.Y. Hilton's on IR. He's the number one guy they go to. And I keep rostering him. I have him in my fantasy leagues. And, at one point, these points are going to be way higher because he's actually going to get in the red zone or the end zone. So, beyond that, Hollywood Brown is potentially another idea to throw out there. The same $5,400. He had quite a few crazy drops in this last game when they played against the Lions. He's definitely going to look to rebound from that. Christian Kirk is in a great spot. We already went over Robbie Anderson. Corey Davis, the target share monster there in New York for the Jets. We already went over Brandon Ayuk. I did say I liked all the Miami receivers this game. Rieger's also in a good spot for Philly, so if you wanted to have a game stack there, you could probably go Devonta Smith and Rieger with Hurts. And not a problem with that either. If Crowder plays, he's not in the greatest spot for cornerback coverage, but, this guy was known for getting in the end zone. Further down, Mecole Hardman at 4,400 is not a bad spot at all. He's in a pretty good matchup spot. $4,400 is pretty cheap. I don't see that being an issue here. Getting lower in the value, there's only a couple more guys that I do have to mention down here. Braxton Barrios for the Jets. He's also been getting some targets. I will definitely like him in some of my game stacks. That guy is overlooked quite often. And this gentleman who stepped in for the Giants last week when the 2 receivers went down, Colin Johnson, went 5 for 7, 51 yards. Imagine if he has a repeat of performance and gets into the end zone at 3,200, you're looking at 16 points. If we were told we would get 16 points for $3,200, I think it'd be a free square. All right, then beyond that, the only other player I like in the low caliber that nobody is talking about, Curtis Samuel is reactivated off IR. We don't know how much game time he's going to get, but he is going to play. So if they put him ready to run routes because he is their number 2 receiver by far behind McLaurin, then for $3,000, this guy can have a blowout game, right? Like, even if he goes 5 for 7 for 50 yards, $3,000 is 10, 12 points. We're going to be happy with that. And if he gets in the end zone, huge bonus. All right, let's move along to tight ends. Travis Kelsey at the top of the list. Of course we like this guy. Don't like his price, but you know this guy's floor is extremely high. This guy is a target share monster on this team. He's always bailing Patrick Mahomes out of trouble, and I don't ever see that changing. The connection there is too solid. Kittle, if he plays, I do have consideration for him. 5,900. It's a huge jump between Kelsey and Kittle there. Hawkinson, he put up pretty much a dud last week. Going against Chicago, I don't mind running him here as well. Andrews, I'm not really on Andrews. Pitts is in play. Okay, he's not getting what he deserves yet as far as credibility. I think that'll just be earned over the course of the season, and it will go up. Logan Thomas, I happen to love. I like tight ends against Atlanta all the time. It's just historical against these guys. Further down, Noah Fant. Great spot. Also a decent target shareholder for the Broncos. 32nd. So according to this, they're the worst against the tight end. I don't go by this, but he is in a good spot, though. And $4,300 is an extreme discount. Beyond that, you do have the guy from Pittsburgh at $3,100, Firamuth. Evan Ingram at $3K. I don't mind that at all. And then if we go further down, let's see, $2,600, Will Dissly. All right, because the other gentleman did get injured. Everett, he will not be playing. And then anything, I think there's one more guy that I don't mind. He was just drafted. It's the guy that's on Carolina now. Tommy Tremble. All right, this guy is now their tight end. If you want a shot in the dark for a punt play at $2,500, I don't mind going here at all against the Cowboys. It's just something to look at. You know, if you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell notification. Stay up to date on all the content that I do put out. I know this video is coming out a little late today because I want to make sure I got you the most adequate and accurate information possible, especially when there's so much injury news that's going to come out and still more to come. Okay, and for all the people that have already been here supporting me and watching the channel, thank you so much. I do this for you guys because obviously the content I'm putting out, this is free content, and I'm giving the best information that I can and not trying to mislead you or misguide you in any way, shape, or form. All right, if you haven't done so already, follow me on Twitter at TowelmanPurple. I do put out a GPP lineup every Sunday, an hour before lock. So at 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time, you will see one of the lineups that I'm putting out for everybody. It's for free. I just give out stuff that I do, and then we can take it from there. I know you see the background here with the little pops and all that stuff. Pardon the mess. We do have a lot going on. I am having a pop shop that will be open on my website soon at yellowtapehub.com. And until next time, let's get in this green. You guys be safe.
Purple, yes sir. Who got that? Purple.